Welcome to Ready Set RC, and today we got the Traxxas 4Tech 3.0 35 hot rod truck. This RC comes in a coupe, and the truck that you guys are seeing today, it is all-wheel drive. It is a replica factory 5 35 hot rod truck body that's on this one. And for you guys that are familiar with the Snap-on series that Traxxas released a few months back, this is basically the same truck. LEDs in the front and in the rear. Traxxas is stating this goes 30 miles per hour plus. It has full rubber sealed ball bearings, molded disc brakes. It's 2.1-inch wheels on a 2.8-inch tire. The electronics in this truck are waterproof. This chassis is the extended chassis compared to the Traxxas 4Tech 2.0. This truck is shaft driven. You guys will see it has a different geometry when it comes to the shock system on this. This car comes in two different colors, the red line that you see in front of you today and the graphite. But here we are, Traxxas 4Tech 3.0, the 35 hot rod truck edition. I really do like the red. I'm not sure if that's coming up on the camera well, but the red just pops, guys. I mean, it's like a deep cherry red, and it just looks amazing, especially with these decals that are on here. It just looks at it and it really does pop. It looks amazing, guys. And then you have the flames coming off on the side. They just really did an amazing job with this truck. Well, let's get into what comes with this truck. You have the 22 tooth high-speed pinion that comes with this. This works with the included electronic system that's in here. Do watch your temperatures when you are running the high-speed gear. You have two hex wrenches and a T-wrench for your wheels. This truck takes two body clips in the rear, but they did supply you with extra body clips. As we know, these do tend to run awry and we're scrambling for body clip. They provide the registration warranty card. This is the high performance guide. This basically walks you through setting up the TQI controller. Now the TQI controller does not come with this RC, but it is an accessory that you can purchase and then use the TQI controller and the receiver that comes with it for this vehicle. And they also provide to you some of the other telemetry accessories that you can buy for this RC. This is the extensive owner's manual for the truck. This comes with every Traxxas vehicle. It has everything you're going to need. And the one thing I do like is that Traxxas provides this in multiple different languages. But the key piece to this is that they have the parts listings for everything used on this truck and any accessories or optional accessories that you want to get for it. Complete blowouts of the truck and even a complete blowout of the body assembly. So for the shell itself, they give you a full assembly of how to do it. And this is for the charger and the battery. And finally, the quick start guide. And this is probably going to get you up and running really quick. If you're not familiar with the RC or you're not familiar with Traxxas RCs, definitely take a reading to this. But this is the quick start guide, get you guys up and running and get you guys out there blasting this thing around. And lastly, the TQ controller. We've gone through this quite some time now. This is for you guys who are new to the channel. We've done an unboxing of the Traxxas 4Tech 3.0, the Stingray edition. We've done an unboxing of the Traxxas 4Tech 2.0, which was the 4GT. And here we now have the 35. So we've gone through it for quite some time. Same controller that you got on the Stingray edition. It is a TQ controller, not the TQI. You have some really basic controls. You only have the steering trim to adjust, a set button to bind the truck with it, the on-off switch here in the rear. There is no mode for the Bluetooth module over here on the rear, and it takes 4 AA's, which goes in at the bottom over here. So that's basically it. It's a very basic controller. The wheel here is foam. It's just to get you up and running and moving with this RC. But here we are, guys. The Traxxas 4Tech 3.0, the 35 edition. This thing, as I stated before, just pops. They have a few molded bits that are on here. Nothing too crazy, but you have the mirrors off to the side, which are molded bits. You have the headlights here, which are functioning headlights. There are actually LEDs in them already. And then you have the front grille. You have LED light buckets in the rear, and these already have LEDs mounted in them. Great thing about the truck. As I stated earlier, this truck is affixed with 2 body pins. It is a semi-clipless system, so in the front there are no body pins. It's just a clip. So you lift up, you push forward, and the body comes off. And you guys can see Traxxas really did their homework. So you have some foam going on the sides just for some rubbing. I'm not sure if I lost one on this side, but I don't have any on this side, but I do have some more foam up in the front here. You see the clipless system. Hopefully you guys are picking that up, but you can see the clipless system up here in the front, and then the holes for the body mounts up in the rear. The wire harness system is nice and cleanly done in the truck. And sadly enough, the windows though, they are painted over, so you're not able to see anything through them. But here we are, guys, the Traxxas Fortec 3.0 chassis. If you guys have seen the unboxing that I've done with the Stingray edition, you have seen a chassis that looks very similar. We'll talk about the differences, and I'm gonna bring out my Stingray edition. I've done a lot of modifications to it, but for the most part, the layout is still the same. The electronics and the links are probably the most obvious changes that you'll see on the two, but rather than just going through this RC, and since I've done now 2 other videos in regards to the Stingray and the 2.0, I'm just gonna bring those cars out. We're gonna do a comparison between the two, and you guys can see what the differences are between this and those other 2 RCs. But here we are, guys. We have the Stingray edition here, and this is the 35 over on this side. And you guys are now seeing the clear differences between the 2 vehicles. In the front, you have a nice foam bumper on here. The 35, you can see there is no foam bumper in the front. And the main reason for that is so that that body can fit nice and snug on this chassis. One of the things I'm hoping that you're able to see right now, guys, is the shocks and how the shock system is set up. There's a very low down shock on the 35. This is a standard shock system over here on the Stingray. These, I don't even know what shocks these are. These got to be a new shock system that Traxxas is using on the 35, but you see how small they are? Extremely small compared to what you would see on a standard touring car on the Stingray edition. And as for the wheels and the tires, they're the same height, they're the same size in the front and on the rear of the car. On the Stingray, you'll see a few things that are not standard on this. So you're gonna see the links that are on here, the sway bar that's on here, those do not come on the Stingray stock. These are aftermarket parts that I've put on the car. You will typically see the links that you see and no sway bar setup on the Stingray like you do on the 35. So that's pretty much the same. As we go back to the chassis support, that's the same on both cars. We look at the battery tray on both. The battery tray is the same for both cars. As we go over to the left side of the car, and we're looking at the receiver box and how the servo is mounted in there. And the servo is definitely the same, but we have the receiver box now sitting on top of the servo, and this is one of those things that's very similar to the 2.0 setup. You know, this 2.0 has the receiver box sitting on top, where you have on the 35, you have that receiver box. It's smaller and it's towards the midsection of the car. Coming back behind that, you're seeing on my Stingray, it has a completely different ESC and motor. I swapped that out to brushless, but what you're seeing on the 35, you have the XL5 ESC and the 12-turn 550 Titan motor paired up to that. And that's typically what you would see on a brushed version of the Fortec 3.0. I've done some, coming back to the rear, I've done some modifications to my gear cover. So you're going to see a little bit of changes there, but it typically would also be the same gear covering that you see on the 35. Heading back to the rear, you have the links again that I spoke about in the front. Those have been changed out on the Stingray. They are fixed links that you see on the 35, and those fixed links are what you would see on every brushed version of the Fortec 2.0 and the Fortec 3.0. You have the clipless system set up in the rear for the Stingray, and then you have the body mounts, and you have the body mounts sitting in the rear on the 35. The one thing I want you guys to notice is that the chassis on the 35 is slightly longer than what I'm seeing on the Stingray. I mean, if I pair the wheels up exactly, I'm going to give you guys an overview shot. You'll see how the rear tire on the Stingray and the 35, it's just inward a little bit. So the wheelbase I'm noticing between the two cars is definitely shorter on the Stingray than on the 35. It's just a slightly longer wheelbase on that 35 car. In regards to the drive shafts on both cars, you have dog bones throughout. That's the same. You have the center drive shaft with the bearing on both cars, but what I'm seeing on the Stingray is that the bearing is back a little bit further. On the 35, the bearing is a little bit further up. You have dog bones on the front and rear on the 35, dog bones on the front and rear of the Stingray. Here we are once again, guys. We have the Traxxas 4Tech 2.0, the Traxxas 4Tech 3.0, the 35 edition, and you guys are clearly seeing the differences. It's a much more tighter compact setup on the 2.0 in this car. I do like how it's just a longer setup in this vehicle, and how it is just easier to work around. It's just easier to work around with all the parts in there. As we get to the rear, same deal, the dog bones in the rear, the links. But what you guys can see between the two cars, I am running smaller tires on the 2.0, and that's the tires that you see on here, they are foam tires, but they are pretty much the same diameter. They're pretty close to the same diameter of the stock wheels and tires that came on the 2.0. So there's not much difference you're going to see there. One of the things that came out for the 3.0 were these taller 2.8 wheels and tires that are on this car now, and that's why you're seeing that large difference between the two. Well, what's up next for the 35 truck on the Ready Set RC channel? This is it, guys. I'm going to run out of all the 4Techs that I own. This is the only one that I am going to keep brushed. I am not planning on taking this brushless. I am not planning to over-gear it and do everything else that I've done to the 3.0 Stingray and the 4Tech 2.0. I'm going to keep this one stock. I'm going to run this the way it is. I may gear it up a little bit, but for right now, we're going to enjoy it for what it is and get this thing out on the road and spinning around. But that's it, guys. We've done an overview of the 35 truck. We've done a comparison between this and the Traxxas 4Tech 3.0 Stingray and the Traxxas 4Tech 2.0, the 4 GT edition. But we're going to leave it here. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram for our latest posts to the channel. This is Ready Set RC, signing out. Thanks again, guys.